Hi, I'm Lauren Haleli-Zembo, CEO at the Crim Fitness Foundation. We're starting a new series called Crim Conversations, where I talk with local community leaders about health, well-being, and how we're working together to improve the community. I hope you'll join us as we talk to different leaders throughout the community, lifting up their stories of great work in Flint. Today, I'm joined by Lottie Ferguson, Chief Resilience Officer from the City of Flint. Well, welcome, Lottie. This is my first Crim conversation, and I'm so happy to be able to have a conversation with you because we've known each other for a really long time.
We have.
And been working in Flint together, so it's really just a pleasure to be able to just sit down and actually have a conversation. So this is Lottie Ferguson, who serves as the Chief Resilience Officer at the City of Flint, but has a long history of a lot of amazing work in Flint. And so just tell us a little bit about you and your story and in different paths that have kind of brought you to where you are today.
Well, first, I want to say thank you for the invitation. I'm incredibly excited to be the very first guest for Crim Conversations. This is going to be a lot of fun. Gosh, like Flint Schools is where I really started. And, I walked into that job immediately after high school. Computers were a hobby and ended up being a job for 15 years. And so in that, I got to meet a lot of people in Flint, and that opened up a lot of other opportunities. After Flint Schools, we decided we wanted a family. So I stayed home, and I was a stay-at-home mom for about 5 years. And my husband, Kyle, and I have three adorable little girls.
Yeah.
And, when the last one was born, I started to get a little bored and a little antsy, and I wanted to get back out and work, and they needed to be with kids their own age. So they went to daycare, and I got a job in a nonprofit at Ennis Center and loved it. Loved the nonprofit work, loved the nonprofit field, loved being able to help kids who needed us the most, which was sort of my path. When I wasn't being a stay-at-home mom, I had always worked with kids. Boys and Girls Club, I've been a board member for, nearly 20 years now, and had a short stint as an interim executive director, and loved the work and decided I would not go back to IT. Mm-hmm. And so it's been nonprofit until the mayor called and said, "Hey, we've got a lot of grants here at the city, and we need some help. Can you come join us?"
What's your favorite part about working in nonprofits? What is it that really kind of made that switch? Like it was like, I know that it's not IT, it's nonprofits.
The direct connection to people. Yeah. In IT was always working with computers. I got to work with people, but it was because they had a computer problem. It wasn't because they had something that they really needed. And in nonprofit work, you get to work with people who really need you. The kids at Ennis Center really need you. The kids at Boys and Girls Club, they really need you. Kids in after-school programs at the chamber and small businesses, they really need you, and that's what the appeal was.
I totally get that. I think for a lot of us in this field, it's the people. It's the get to work with people in the community. It's us working together. It's all of those different things. So that's what drives me too, is just being able to work with people. Just love that as well. So what does a typical day look like in the life of a Chief Resilience Officer?
No 2 days are the same. There's a lot of meetings. There's a lot of paperwork. The mayor is really funny. I don't think people realize how hilarious he is. He's a great person to work with. But it's a lot of partnerships. The city partners with the Crim on a number of projects, and we've got partnerships with the Greater Flint Health Coalition and Genesee Health Systems. And I could go through and name a ton of different folks. They all have one thing in common, and that's the well-being of the residents of the city of Flint. And so no 2 days are the same, ever.
What are some of the most exciting projects you think the city's working on, or in your work around resilience and stuff? What are some of the most exciting projects happening right now that maybe people don't know about that you would want them to know about?
So before you said resilience, the one project that popped to mind is actually the lead-based paint hazard control program. A lot of people don't realize that Flint had issues with lead and water, but so much of the lead exposure comes from environmental, and that's in inhalation and ingestion of lead. And so we've got this program where we can go in and rehabilitate 80 homes of families who have small kids who are at risk of being exposed to lead. And that in itself is a game changer for those families and those kids, because we still don't know what the effects of lead exposure are for our families in Flint, and to be able to not only have an avenue into reducing those lead exposures through the water, but also in the environment, it opens up an entire world of possibilities for those kids.
Yeah. At the Crim, we are focused on, creating active places, getting people healthy, getting people active. What are some of the projects that the city's working on to help create great spaces for people to be active and healthy?
So I think you could probably answer that better than me. We partner with Crim for a citywide sports program, which has been great to get kids active, and it was fantastic the way you guys were able to pivot during the pandemic to make sure that the kids and families stay active. But another big project for the city is the Grand Traverse Greenway Trail, and that's 3 more miles of trail that Flint residents will have to get active and to stay moving. And that's been a long time coming, and
that's
it's really
been a
exciting.
long time coming.
Yes.
So the Grand Traverse Greenway Trail was a project that we were talking about when I first started the Crim here in 2008. So I've been here 12 years, and we've been talking about the Grand Traverse Greenway for that long. And sometimes people don't realize how long it can take for a project to come to fruition, especially an infrastructure project, right? Around something like trails or bike lanes and all of that. So yeah, the Crim has been really active in trying to create those vibrant spaces. And anytime we can get more miles of trail, it's great for our runners, our walkers, our bikers, everybody. So that's really amazing. And then we've also been partnering a lot on mindfulness.
Yes, that's very true.
And so talk to us a little bit about what's happened in the city with mindfulness and your take on us becoming a really mindful city.
So the first project, I think, was with the Flint Fire Department and some trauma informed and some mindfulness training there. There were some difficulties that some of the firefighters were facing and experiencing, and we brought the project to them. And initially I didn't think there would be a great response, but they are all raving about it. They've asked for additional training. The deputy chief went through the training. Chief Barton went through, and it has really, really helped the firefighters deal with everything that they see on a daily basis. There's got to be some level of burnout, and you get tired of responding to trauma, and that does something to you. And so I am grateful. I know they are grateful for the partnership that we've got with Crim on mindfulness.
Yeah. All right, so I'm going to switch to a little bit more personal stuff here. So I know you're a runner.
Yeah.
I happen to know you're a runner, and you do some races and you participate in our training program. So talk to me about what your running career has been like, or what got you into running?
So what got me into running is probably not the happiest of stories, but it is always one that I hope inspires others. I ran in high school, but I was a sprinter. I'd never thought about doing 10 miles for Crim because I could do 100 yards and be out of there in a couple minutes. There was no way I was going to be running for an hour. But I turned back to running after my husband and I lost a pregnancy. About halfway through, about 20 weeks through the pregnancy, I had it was a late miscarriage, and my levels of depression I didn't want to talk to people. I didn't want to interface with the kids that I already had. And so I got into this funk, and I couldn't let it go. And so a friend suggested, hey, you know what, why don't you try running? Get some fresh air, get some time to yourself. And I started running, and I felt, I got a therapist. I talked to somebody, so I got some additional help too. But I just felt the depression leaving. I felt better. With every mile, I felt better. And as soon as I started feeling like myself again, I was pregnant again. and confined to bed rest for most of that pregnancy. And I felt myself getting depressed again. But that time, I spent all the time with my feet up, reading about running, watching YouTube videos, listening to podcasts, learning everything that I could possibly learn about the sport of distance running. And 4 weeks after that healthy baby, I laced up my shoes, and I haven't stopped running since.
Awesome. That is an inspiration. Thank you for being so vulnerable and sharing that story, because it can be we've heard many stories from many people, Crim runners, about how running can transform your mood and your health and all of that. So for me too, running is a big way that helps reduce my stress levels. It's hard to work in nonprofits a lot of time because you're caring for other people and what's happening in the community, and sometimes you bring it home and you're thinking about all the people that you want to help. So running is a great outlet for that. So that's kind of how I got into running as well. The Crim kind of transformed me. I was never a sprinter in high school. I'm only a runner since I've been here at the Crim. And you've stayed connected with the Crim, right? Because you've been a group leader even into our training program and taken that running not only for yourself but out into the community.
I joined the Crim Fit campus group. Gosh, it had to be 5 years ago, maybe. I think about 5 years ago, and loved the training program. And we had been talking at our church about having a Crim group. And so I asked the pastor about it, and she was a little hesitant the first year, but the second year she joined right in. And so I've been a site coordinator for a group at our church for the last 4 years, and they're all women. I've got everybody from probably 29 to 30 that want to run, and then I've got there's one woman who is in her early 80s that is part of the walking group, and it's just been a whole ball of fun. We start every training with prayer, and we stretch and we laugh, and at the end there are snacks and watermelon, and we go all over the place. We start at the church, and then we do some training downtown. We go to some parks, and we do the trails, and it's good fellowship. We really missed being with each other, because of the pandemic last year, but we did keep in touch, and we did our training sort of virtually, phone calls and pairing up with folks, and but that group continues. They walk in the mall during the off times, and so they are really excited about Crim 365. So I'm going to get back with them on that one.
Great. Well, hopefully they're getting ready for this year, because we're coming back. We're coming back with the training program, and we gotta get back out there. So what are some of the things that you and your family do to stay active? Are there other things besides running and walking? Are there other active things that you guys love to do that we should know about that maybe we need to take up?
My kids, you've got kids. They're all different. They're all into different things. And as much as I would love all of them to be runners, I have one that is a faithful runner. And she's traveled with me to races, and she's done a couple of 5Ks outside of the area. And so she's really gotten bitten by the bug. But the younger two they're just not feeling it. But they like gymnastics, and they love dance. But the one thing that we can all agree on as a family is a good bike ride. And so we made sure that everybody's training wheels came off last summer, and we've been really hitting the pavement and the trails and making sure that we have a good time on two wheels.
Awesome. You might have to give me some tips on that. My kids are kind of young, but we still got training wheels, so we can agree on gymnastics as well. We have some gymnasts. I know you have girls and I have girls, so we got some gymnasts, and I think a regular activity in our house is typically a dance party too. We can usually agree on if we're gonna have some music on, we can dance and at least be active, especially in the pandemic, right? Like you had to find new ways in the winter to get active together. So
we did snowball fights. That helped a lot too.
Snowball fights is also a really good one. So Tell me, I'm going to ask you a few kind of quick questions, just kind of first thing that comes to mind. So what's an unknown kind of hidden gem you think in Genesee County that maybe people don't know about?
So I love to shop. So I'm going to say Cobbin's Resale.
Okay.
It's a resale shop. It's on South Saginaw Street, and they've got a ton of really cool stuff in there. It's fun if you have time to go pick through things. I've gotten a bunch of shoes there. The owners are great people.
Love it.
Yeah.
I love to shop too, so you can be sure I'm going to be checking that out. What about your recent maybe book or movie series, something that you've seen lately that just you really loved or resonated with you?
So, gosh, I read a lot, and I think John Lewis's book. I'm finishing that one up now. That was a good one. My grandfather worked for NBC for 41 years, and he saw firsthand in the DC area. So he saw firsthand a lot of history happening. And so he was also a photographer. So he's got pictures that he's taken of civil rights leaders, and he was working the NBC Nightly News when Kennedy's body was brought back to DC after his assassination. And so a lot of times I enjoy reading books about civil rights leaders in that era, because I can try to see them through the lens of my grandfather, and I can see the connection that he made with them through photography, either still photography or being backstage. He was a stage manager for Meet the Press. So getting to see, to read their stories, their life stories, and then wonder what it must have been like for them, and understand what my grandfather saw in real time, and then compare that to, what's history going to say about what we're going through right now, and how things look, and will my kids look at history the way I now am looking at history through the memoirs of people like John Lewis.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's an amazing story about your grandfather. Yeah, I also like to read nonfiction, mostly nonfiction, read books about people and what those different struggles were like, and really reflect on that too. So that's something we also share in common. So it's really, really nice. My last question is, so what do you think of when you hear the word Crim?
The start line. Crim, that is my Flint when that Saturday in August rolls around and my foot hits that start line. And I think about, all the women that I've trained with from my church. I'm thinking about, my family that's either there. Everybody is running in one of the races, whether it's the Teddy Bear Trot all the way through the 10 mile. We're all doing something, but and what it took to get there, the training that it took, the dedication that it took to cross that start line, and the stories of the other people that are there with me from all over the place. It's overwhelming. That is my Flint. Crim Saturday that's my Flint.
Oh, that just gives me goosebumps to hear that, because it's just so cool. It's just awesome. My last thing is that, so since you're my first guest, you've kind of created like a little bit of challenge for future guests. So here's the thing, is that I said, wear your best shoes. And you said, I'm going to wear my best shoes, my favorite shoes, the ones that, represent me, that I feel comfortable in. And you wore your tennis shoes, right?
I did.
So talk about your shoes.
My favorite color is yellow. And, Vice President Harris means so much to women and me and girls in general. That glass ceiling's been shattered. And so any chance that I get to wear pearls and chucks, I'm going to do it. I'm wearing them separate. I'm wearing them together, but I'm wearing them in honor of her and that busted glass ceiling.
Awesome. I just love it as a female. It's awesome. It's just amazing. So to all our future guests, make sure that
wear your favorite shoes.
You wear your favorite shoes.
Wear your favorite
and maybe
sneakers.
Be ready to talk about them. But well, I thank you so much for
Thank you
having
so
this
much,
conversation.
Lauren.
Hopefully, this is just the start of a conversation, and we'll learn much more. But just my deepest gratitude to you for just being kind of a warrior in Flint and always just fighting for amazing people and amazing work and being a great partner and really a great friend. So I
so
really
much, Lauren.
appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.